Hi everyone, welcome back to our multi-part series on replicas. I'm Andrew Redden with the Join program here at Timescale, and today we're going to discuss how to implement and monitor your read and HA replicas. Let's first start by heading to the Timescale Cloud Console and creating our first replica. Creating a replica for your service is quite straightforward. First, let's go ahead and create a new service and select our required capabilities, as well as our desired CPU and memory. At this point, Timescale will prompt you to choose a replication strategy. Your first option is no replica, which is ideal for dev environments, but does not offer any sort of HA functionality should your primary database go offline. Your second option is high availability, which creates a single HA replica in a separate AZ. With this option, in the instance that your primary were to go offline, or even if you were to experience an AZ outage, your replica would still be able to take over. Your third option is highest availability, which creates two HA replicas in a separate AZ, which you also have the ability to read from. In such a setup, each primary will automatically replicate data to two separate replicas and can then withstand two concurrent failures. The read-only connection also remains highly available during a node failure, so it's well suited for serving production traffic. Let's go ahead and select high availability to spin up a single replica. The service will then be created, and we can see from our services tab that high availability is currently in the processing state and is being created in parallel to the service. To add HA replica to an existing service, the process is even simpler. By clicking on the desired service, we can see a tooltip letting us know that we are missing an HA replica and can add it by clicking on the Add HA Replica button. This brings us to the High Availability tab under the Operations header, which prompts us to enter the replication strategy as before. This time, we're presented with more options and are prompted to enter a replication mode. We will be discussing the differences between these replication modes more in depth, but an important thing to note is that the high data integrity mode is only available for multiple replicas, meaning that the highest availability strategy must be selected as a prerequisite in the previous step. For setups with only one replica, we will need to choose high performance. We can then go ahead and click on Change Configuration, and our replica will be spun up. After it finishes, we can see from the Services tab that high availability is enabled for our service. Creating a read replica for an existing service is just as easy. We can click the service and then scroll down to the tooltip prompting us to create a read replica. You will then be prompted to select a CPU and memory configuration for your read replica. Read replicas can be configured with the same, more or less resources than the primary, depending on your needs. For example, if you don't have a lot of read traffic, you could choose a size smaller than your primary. If you serve significantly more reads than writes, you could also configure your read replica with more CPU and memory in order to meet these needs. You can also choose to enable connection pooling, which in the instance that your database needs a large number of short-lived connections, can help to increase performance. The connection pooler works by maintaining a set of long-running connections to the database, and this improves performance because the pooler opens the connections in advance, allowing the application to open many short-lived connections while the database opens few long-lived connections. After clicking Create Read Replica, it will be created after a short wait. One important thing to note about read replicas is that they are only available under the Scale plan and are not available for customers under the Performance plan. To monitor your replicas, we can check the current status as well as the current replication lag in the Overview header after clicking on the service and scrolling down. There you will find information on the current status of your replicas as well as the current replication lag. The same information and more can also be found under the Operations header. Additionally, to monitor the metrics of our HA replica, we can go under the Metrics header and select our HA replica. We will then be able to see metrics detailing our CPU, memory, and storage utilization. You can do the same under the Logs header to check for any error messages, as well as any helpful information for troubleshooting any issues. This concludes our video on how to implement and monitor replicas. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next video.